Megumi Tadakoro, you may clean up your station.
I'm not there yet. Not even close.
All right!
In the previous episode, we covered episodes 7 to 12 of Food Wars. If you haven't seen that yet, make sure to check it out before this one. Having dropped everything and enrolled into the Academy, our protagonist Suma has not had it easy. After winning various challenges and overcoming adversity, he eventually picked the wrong battle. Staged against an alumni, he is forced to rely on Megumi, who barely pulls through, causing Sumo to feel like a failure. Episode 13. Previously, there was an intense cooking battle between Megumi and Shinomiya, however. Since then, she has toughened out. When she goes to greet Ishiki, she seems like a new person along with the others. Although they changed, at least they all made it back, except for Maru. This makes Ishiki scream, but he wakes up from this dream, hoping for the best for the others. Megumi, on the other hand, passes her initial test, gaining her one stop closer to completing the training camp. Suma, on the other hand, is still not satisfied with himself, wanting to achieve even greater heights. Arena, however, meets with some other never-seen-before students, giving them the cold shoulder. She tells them that they need to watch out next time, making them seem like worthy opponents. During this, the others, however, walk to their bath, but are interrupted by a message on the speaker. Gin informs the students that in 1 hour, they need to be in uniform at the banquet hall. After arriving, Suma is approached by Takumi and Mito, challenging him again after losing. They talk about his cooking battle and tell him that everyone is talking about the battle. Suma tells them he lost, not explaining much to the other students. Then suddenly Arena enters the room, causing Gin to start explaining why they are there. He explains that he will create a breakfast menu for important guests who will be arriving the following day. Using eggs as the main ingredient, there is a variety of dishes they can prepare. He then tells them to meet here again in the morning, ready to cook a dish for their guests. Following this, the students start stressing, wishing they had even the slightest bit of free time. Takumi then approaches Suma and challenges him, but his brother pulls him away. Suma moves on to Arena, reminding her of the first time he cooked for her. Arena, however, tells him his dish was trash, and there's no way he will pass. Suma asks why she ate all of it, but she decides to run off without answering his question. Yuki, on the other hand, is angry that they never give her any free time, shouting to everyone. After his speech, Gin heads to a high office where he talks with another teacher about the potential pass rates. With them having to come up with a recipe and prepare everything the night before, a lot of students wake up stressed. Arena, however, finishes her duties easily, telling her assistant that they will most definitely play a card game in the morning. Following her preparation, Arena declares to herself that she will show Suma what it means to be a top chef. Although everyone is thinking about him, Suma finds himself in his natural environment, the kitchen. He tests out different recipes, but in reality, he is just making food to satisfy his taste buds. Before we continue, let's take a moment to answer the question of the day. If you could cook as well as Suma would, you'd be making 5-course meals for yourself every day? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out in the next video. Now, back to the recap. He eventually realizes this and decides to start really thinking about what he can cook. He remembers one of the times that his father taught him how to cook. He informed him that it's not making something to blow them away, but rather something just right. Suma thinks of what he can make, but eventually comes to a solution, much like Takumi. Megumi, on the other hand, tries to lock in like before, but has a hard time deciding what to make. After thinking about Suma, she gets an idea, giving her the chance to start cooking. While they cook, everyone else figures out what they want to make it seem like a productive night. Suma, on the other hand, is approached by a woman with silky skin like snow. She tries to seduce Suma and walk away, but she bumps into her friend as she leaves. She tells him he messed up their act, making Suma wonder what they are talking about. The girl leaves, telling Suma she already knows what she wants to make. As she leaves, she talks with her friend, wondering what all the hype around Suma is. The following day, Suma wakes up and heads to his kitchen where he spots various people in his area. After entering the kitchen, he finds Arena making her words last night seem foolish. Episode 14. Suma, on the other hand, looks onto his dishes and wonders why no one has taken a plate. Impressed with his results, Suma gives Arena a thumbs up, hoping to rub it in. Arena tries to discredit him, however the white-haired girl approaches him yet again, claiming he should have sold more. The judges, including Gin, talk amongst each other and realize that if Suma had started his live cooking earlier, he He could have sold way more dishes. Although he served a ton of dishes, he didn't come close to Irina, selling over 400 dishes. The white-haired girl introduces herself as Alice, having sold 380 dishes herself. Suma notices her last name is the same as Irina's, and questions if they are related. Alice explains they are blood cousins, however, she is better than her. Alice then explains to Suma the difference in their strengths, her family running a science factory that makes the most pristine food. Irina, however, protests Alice's comments, telling her that she will never measure up to her. Alice remembers the past where even when she was trying to be nice baking a cake for Irina, she still spit it out. Alice tells Suma that he doesn't stand a chance with them, barely being able to sell only 200 plates. Suma laughs this off and informs her that he is glad to have learned something from this, rather than have it easy. She doesn't like his comment, so she decides to walk away, followed by her friend. After this, they are told they will have 3 hours of sleep until they need to report to the ballroom again. Everyone gets to the room and is approached by Gin, who informs them of the current status. With over 600 students being enrolled before they started the camp, there are currently a little over 300 now. Gin explains to them that they have already achieved a great feat, but shouldn't get too cocky, because it will only get harder from here. He concludes their training camp by bringing in all of the alumni to cook them a meal of their choosing. Episode 15. While Suma is competing in the training camp, his father is finally arriving back in Japan. Having finished their camp and meals, they all head back, satisfied with their performance during the camp. Maru tries to deny any fun he had, but the others remind him of last night. Suma, however, sees Shinomiya and rushes to say hi to him. They notice he is carrying luggage, so they ask if he is heading back to France. Shinomiya informs them that he is and will achieve 3 stars for his restaurant. Following this, some of the other alumni approach Megumi and attempt to recruit her into their own restaurants. Gin then approaches and informs her that the other chefs are simply sizing her up. He informs her that it's common for alumni to recruit students, then having to close their restaurants to come and judge their dishes. Multiple alumni approach Suma and inform him they would welcome him with open hands. Suma denies their request and reminds them that he will continue to work towards his goal of beating his father. They then all leave, and Gin is reminded of a man as Suma leaves. He sees the young version of his father, indicating he may have gone to school with him. Suma eventually arrives at his bus, but remembers he left behind his headband. He runs back, and Irina seems to have the same issue, running back to the hotel. Suma finishes getting his headband and is surprised to see a group of residents among the bus. They applaud his cooking skills and tell him to come again. The owner of the hotel informs Suma that next time he will try his dish at his own restaurant. The other guests then start talking to Suma, wasting his time until all the buses leave. He wonders what to do next, but stumbles upon Irina in the same problem. Running behind Irina, a worker tells her that she has prepared a car for her. After Irina notices him missing the bus, she decides to invite him along to go back to the Aacademy. During this ride, Suma smugs at Irina, reminding her of the words she said at the previous competition. Irina tells him although he passed this test, he won't pass the upcoming selection exam. She explains that it is a halfway mark to check the skills of the chefs, informing him it has already begun. Irina continues, telling Suma that if he wants to have a chance at progressing, he needs to step up his game. Suma, however, reminds her that he has made it just as far as she has. Irina tells him that the only way he can measure her is to cook gourmet food like someone she used to know. After this, Suma decides to go to sleep, realizing it is just awkward silence between the two. Eventually, they arrive back at their academy, and Irina rushes to her drawer to look at a picture she has. Gin recognizes this as well, looking back at a picture of Suma's father from his school days. Fumio, on the other hand, is stunned to be approached by this very man, asking if he can bum a night at her place. Later that night, Suma and the others arrive as well, unknowing to who waits before them. After they get to the kitchen, Fumio informs them tonight they will be eating well. Everyone gets excited, but wonders who it is that is cooking, knowing that it must be someone special. After they enter the kitchen, Fumio explains that Suma's father is a past elite 10-member and president of their dorm. Suma eventually calms down after learning of his father's past, but realizes what he expects from him now. With an even higher goal now, Suma wonders what he can do to overcome his father. Ishiki specifically seems to know Suma's father, calling him a legendary chef. He introduces himself to him and asks if he can also try something cooked by him. The others still watch hesitantly as Suma questions how he never understood his father's importance. Looking back at it, he realizes that his father is a great man who everyone can look up to. Suma's dad eventually finishes the meal and presents it to all of the members of the dorm. Once they try it, they instantly become enchanted by the elegance that he has put into the meal. As they continue to eat, they start to learn more and more techniques explained by Suma's father, Juichiru. They start becoming enchanted by his cooking, and wonder if Suma will be able to cook like this in the future. They all continue scarfing down the dishes until Maru tries a snake dish. He doesn't expect it to taste bad because of all the others, but he explains it is the worst dish he can make. Fumio then stands up and asks Juichiru if he got soft, serving simple dishes. She then whips out a picture of Juichiru and Gin as students, showing they attended the academy. With Gin as the first seat and Juichiru as the second seat, they held the glory for the dorm. This was the golden age for the dorm and for Fumio, them winning all the competitions. Fumio tells them that she expects them to one day live up to their name and climb the ranks. Eventually, Suma and his father get some alone time where they talk about their daily lives. Suma asks him what the Polar Star dorm was like back in the days. He explains to Suma that it was similar to how it is today, Fumio still being old. Eventually, Suma shows his dad his room in the dorm and realizes that it was his father's past dorm. Suma's image of his father gets even better, making him want to strive for glory like he did. Episode 16. Irina, on the other hand, is seen lying in her bed, missing Juichiro. To her surprise, however, the same Juichiru is with Suma, challenging him to a cooking battle. Before their battle, however, they decide to party a little bit. During the party, Ishiki talks with Juichiru and informs him more about Suma's skills. Eventually, they are ready for the cook-off, and Fumio enters to act as the judge for their match. Ishiki then emerges as well, naked of course, telling the others he wants to watch. During this, Megumi enters the kitchen half asleep, walking around like a zombie. Having finally finished the stressful training camp, Megumi is still a bit stressed out. Fumio decides to add her in and allow Ishiki to be a judge alongside her. With Fumio, Ishiki, and Megumi as the judges, they start the cooking battle with 1 hour to cook. Following this, Suma wastes no time and begins making his dish for the judges. During this, Megumi wakes up and wonders what is going on, so she is filled in by Suma. He informs her of their long-standing cooking battle tradition. Juichiru joins in on the conversation and reminds Suma that he has lost 489 times in a row to him. They continue cooking until Suma eventually pulls out an apple, displaying a different technique. While Suma is trying to surpass his father stands his own, making Suma continue to grow. After only a couple minutes, Suma finishes his meal and presents it to the judges. They are instantly impressed upon seeing it and smelling the refreshing aroma. Ishiki specifically takes a strong liking to the dish, whiffing as much of the aroma he can towards his nose. The judges then decide to take a bite of the meal, and when they do, you can guess what happens. Megumi enters a new state of mind where nothing matters anymore. She is able to enjoy a long, relaxing sleep along with a kiss from an apple prince. She snaps back to reality, and this time the others express their opinions. Ishiki takes another bite and starts to dance with a woman, bringing him true bliss. Fumio eats it as well, but this time doesn't feel like a young woman. Ishiki, however, finds something strange as he continues to eat, wondering how the apples became so crisp. Suma informs them that by adding apple juice, he hardened the sliced apple pieces, preserving their shape. Impressed, Fumio wonders how Juichiru will be able to top something as creative as this. Although his dish was something to brag about, there exists a wall that hasn't yet been overcome. Juichiru approaches the table and presents his dish to the judges, forcing them to get serious. To their surprise, however, once they see the dish, they wonder if he is taking it seriously. Juichiru presents ramen to the group, making them all wonder if ramen is an appropriate dish for breakfast. Fumio specifically grills Juichiru for making ramen. However, Megumi stops her, asking to try it. Once she does, they begin to realize why Juichiru is the wall that blocks Suma. They continue eating it. Unable to control themselves, they finish it all. Juichiru explains to them his secret method, grinding cheese super fine so it resonates better with the spices. Although he created something unfit for breakfast, the taste seems to have changed their appetite. With the addition of a tempeh, the whole bowl comes together, bringing a soft taste to ease the rest of the bowl. Made with help and shiitake, Juichiro informs them that the bowl is fully vegetarian. Through trial and error, Juichiru was able to create a dish that not only fills you up, but is super healthy. Being a ramen with such a divine taste, you can eat it for any meal, making it the perfect dish. As Fumio eats, she realizes the talent of Juichiru, combining different techniques from all around the world. Eventually, they get down to judging, making the winner seem clear. In a unanimous vote, Juichiro overcomes Suma, making it another loss to their long-standing battle. Despite Suma's loss, he has definitely gotten closer to becoming a master chef. Ishiki tells him what the issue was, informing him although it was good, it didn't fill him up in the slightest. Suma realizes that not only did his dad make a meal befitting the tastes of all the judges, but also their appetites. Juichiro then walks over to Suma and reminds him of his achievement, telling him not to be sad. After giving him words of encouragement, he rubs in that it's his 490th win in a row, making him only 10 away from 500. Following the end of the match, this inspires the others to continue striving to be the best like Suma is. After this, Suma heads to his room more fired up than ever, determined to claim the title over his father. Juichiro then decides to leave without telling his son to keep his spirit alive, only wishing Fumio goodbye. As he leaves, Arina drives by in her car, slightly glimpsing Juichiro. She orders her driver to stop the car and she runs out to greet Juichiro. Episode 17. Years ago, a student ate at Suma's restaurant and experienced the terror of the squid dish he made. Ever since that day, she has walked by Suma's establishment and wondered when he would reopen. As they walk by, Suma opens up the restaurant, causing tons of people to ask if he is reopening. Just so this occasion, Suma decides to make an exception and serve dinner to the people in his hometown. Before this, he has to make an errand run, but it's definitely worth it. When he gets back, there are still tons of people waiting to eat his dinner, showing even though they have been closed for half a year, they still remain popular. For an ordinary student like Mayumi, the food at Suma really makes her feel a certain way. Now that Suma is attending such a prestigious school, she feels like he is out of reach. After some people leave the restaurant, Suma notices there are less people around. Someone in the restaurant explains to Suma that recently a new shopping mall has been built, taking all the customers from the area. Specifically, a new restaurant has opened, making Suma's restaurant have some real rivalry. Ever since that shopping strip along with the restaurant opened, no one has been visiting their street. Other members of the shopping strip think their businesses are over, but Suma proposes an idea to them. First, he asks what their competitors' main income source is, to which they tell Suma it's their fried balls. Suma tells the others as long as you put in the effort and try your hardest, you can achieve your goal. Suma decides to make a new recipe, so Mayumi's friend offers her as a taste tester. Her friend knows that Mayumi has a crush on Suma, so she forces her to take this chance. Suma accepts her as his taste tester and tells her to be back early tomorrow morning. On the walk home, Mayumi is unsure if she can be a good taste tester, but her friend assures her she will be fine. Suma, on the other hand, thinks about the karaage that he needs to make and wonders how it is different. While thinking about this, he envisions a certain girl's figure, causing him to give her a call. Mito is originally bugged by the call, but once she hears Suma inviting her to his house, she gladly accepts. The following day, she arrives at Suma's establishment, wondering why it is so run down. She inspects various stores until she wonders if she is being too outwards with her outfit. Mayumi, on the other hand, is already at his restaurant awaiting Suma to bring her a dish. Suddenly, Mito enters, making Mayumi shy down after seeing such a busty woman. Suma then emerges and introduces the two to each other, giving Mito a nickname. With both of his dates with him, Suma decides to check out his opponent's secret karaage. Located in a large shopping mall, Suma is impressed with how trendy the area has become. Mito, on the contrary, is ticked off for Suma, inviting another girl to go along with him. Mayumi particularly takes notice of how ordinary she is compared to Mito. Mito, however, doesn't see herself as superior to Mayumi in any ways, seeing her cuteness. The two both wonder if they are Suma's crush, causing a bit of tension between them. Suma notices this and breaks them up, and wonders how to smooth the tension. He decides maybe the karaage will do the job, offering to pay for the girls. Following this, Mito looks over and notices the woman standing outside running the place. With a distinguished name and lots of awards, the karaage is no joke to some people. Suma then notices someone from the shopping mall and asks what they are doing here. He tries to hide the fact that he is trying their food, but he is quickly discovered by the owner of the establishment. She then approaches Suma and offers him one of her samples. He becomes impressed, but when Mayumi tells her it's good, she begins yapping. She explains all the contents of the dish, eventually claiming that they have the best karaage. This angers Suma, slightly causing him to challenge her head-on. The woman running the karaage shop, however, doesn't stop as she continues to flame the restaurants on the other shopping street. Suma then approaches her and asks what she would do if he stole her customers. This angers the lady, and she claims there is no way a wimpy shopping strip could beat her. Suma heads back and decides to practice the recipe for karaage. He calls Mito over to assist him as they prepare only the finest of meats thanks to Mito. Suma marinates the chicken he is using for 10 hours to ensure a thorough taste. After this, he combines it with butter to fry the courage and he completes the dish. Mayumi finally steps forward and does her job as a taste tester. After just one bite, she becomes excited, telling Suma he has a chance at beating her. Suma, however, isn't satisfied, wondering how he can make it better. Following this, Mito suggests that instead of chicken, they use her A5 graded beef. Suma thinks this is a good idea at first, but once he learns the price, he reconsiders. Suma turns to Mayumi to help him, but she still is unsure how to draw more customers to their area. For Suma, he is located on the outskirts of the area, while the Courage place is located within the train station, giving them prime real estate. Later that day, the Courage lady talks with a man over the phone, claiming she will take over the city. She informs him of a brat getting in her way, to which the man on the phone urges her not to relax. Suma, on the other hand, is stuck wondering how he can attract customers until Mito notices a large flow of students. Suma realizes that he can use the natural flow of traffic through the shopping district to attract the travelers. Episode 18. First, in order to make the best carriage, he must understand what makes it so good. Suma informs the others that the carriage place packages their food in boxes to ensure the customer can eat them anywhere. Suma protests this method, however, claiming carriage needs to be eaten fresh. By using the flow of people walking by, they will create a dish that can be eaten while walking. The neighboring bento store owner decides he will join in the battle to increase their traffic. The following day, the Karag restaurant boasts a flow of customers per usual. Revealing their secret is the marinade. Suma, on the other hand, tries out different varieties of packaging for the Karage for all ages. Mayumi tries one of the example Karage and is blown away by the lasting taste. With a delicious taste, she tells him it was good, but doesn't measure up to the other Karage place. Suma wonders how he can compete with the Karage place's filling sizes, until Mayumi proposes they make a skewer. Suma tells her a skewer may not be eye-catching, so he tries another idea. Suma then rushes off to his room where the two girls are left, wondering what's inside of his room. Mayumi starts freaking out, unsure how to talk to Mito until she eventually asks her about high school. She sounds like a parent and makes Mito wonder how Suma met with her. After realizing she is Suma's childhood friend, she gets a bit jealous. Mayumi then decides to direct the conversation by complimenting Mito on her skills. Mito, however, takes this seriously and starts complaining about everything Suma has put her through. As she continues to talk, Mayumi wonders if Mito has feelings for Suma. Suma then drops something on her, changing her mind about Mito. Suma then cooks up a new karag with Mito's help on the choice of meat. With a more thick and filling meat, the new karag is more likely to please children passing by. Next up, they try to make up a marinade, but realize they are out of ingredients. Mayumi offers to get them, so she runs full speed to the closest grocery store. Following this, the neighboring businessman presents to Suma a new and revolutionary bento meal. He presents a karag rice ball, but his new idea is shot down by Mito and Mayumi. They inform him you can buy his meal anywhere, but this gives Suma an idea. He announces that he has thought of his new recipe and asks Mito to order the highest quality of meat for him. That night, everyone works hard to ensure that Soma is able to beat the opposing restaurant. Finally, the time comes, and at the Karag restaurant, the lady is stunned to find no incoming customers. She then witnesses more and more people with a new type of courage, making her wonder what's going on. With continuously declining business, the boss lady begins to get enraged at her staff, blaming them for the lost profits. During this, however, a group of men ask the boss lady where they can get the other courage, making her even angrier. After this, more people walk by talking about Suma's courage, forcing her to see what it's about. She heads to the shopping district and is shocked to see such a booming shopping strip. With Mito's help, Suma has transformed the shopping street into the glory that it once held. By combining a leaf wrap and secret tomato sauce, Suma created a karag roll that is easy to eat. He implements his stamp on the outskirts and presents it to the customers, making them want to come back. The appearance isn't the only good thing about these karag, however, the taste being the real deal. The karag lady, on the other hand, watches idly from afar, wondering how Suma achieved this. Suma notices her and goes to talk to her, hoping to brag about his recent success.